This is the live cast, the podcast, the Facebook Live, whatever you want to call it, where we talk about real solutions to real problems, real shit that real people face on a day-to-day basis, and real solutions to all of the aforementioned. And today, I want to talk about your story and the stories of others. Because we often fail to realize that while we are the main character in our own story, at best, we have a starring role, but not the star of someone else's story. In most cases, we're bit players. We're bit players. And you have to understand this when you're dealing with people, because if you may overplay your hand, or you may overplay your position. It's like one of those things. You know your lane, you know your position, you run in your lane, you stay in your position. Okay. But in addition to that, you are a hero or a villain in everyone else's story. Let me explain. If you have helped someone to attain a certain level of success, or have brought someone some peace, some joy, some happiness, then you are absolutely a hero in that person's story. Likewise, you may do something that causes someone some pain, some anguish, some hurt, some heartbreak, in which case you're the villain. Now, the one thing that you have to understand about this is that just because you're the hero in someone's story does not necessarily mean you're a good person. And likewise, if you're the villain in someone's story, it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. It just happens to be the role that you're playing at that moment. And we get this twisted because we want to think of ourselves as good people. I know I do. And that we're doing good things for people. Well, yeah, I know I do. But even in that, there's something that you could say or do, some action that you performed, or something that it could even be circumstantial, but you might find yourself in the role of a villain in someone else's story. And again, one thing that you have to take into account also is perception. Because you may think you're the hero in that person's story, and they might think that you're the villain. And the only difference between the two perspectives is, the 2 points is perspective, how you're being viewed. And this is why I say it's important to know your position, play your position, to know your lane, stay in your lane. Because if you do that, the odds of you winding up being a villain in someone else's story, it goes exponentially lower. Typically, when you become the villain in someone else's story, it's because you've overplayed your hand. You've run outside your lane. And I always think about this. There was one time I was watching an Olympic event, and it was like a relay, and this one team was just absolutely scorching the other one. But then at the end of the race, they determined that the person prior to the anchor had actually stepped on the line, and they were disqualified. They ran a perfect race. They trained. They won the race in terms of time, but they got disqualified for stepping outside their lane. And that's what you don't want to do. When you step outside your lane, you hit a measure of disqualification. And that's when you wind up being the villain in someone else's story. And that's what we don't want to be. Now, understand this. Even though none of us, well, I won't say none of us. There's some people that kind of relish in being villains, okay? That's not me, and I hope that's not you. But there's some people that actually relish being in the villain role, but most of us want to be the hero. Most of us want to be the good guy. Most of us want to be the one that rides in on the white horse and saves the day. And it's just not always that. And let me tell you another thing, too, is that you can be doing everything right by the numbers. You've been a good husband. You've been a good wife, a good father, good mother, good son, good daughter, good friend. You could be all of those things, and you could still wind up in the villain role. Why? Because perception often dictates people's realities. And you have to be prepared to deal with that. I know that in my life right now, I'm dealing with a situation that could be, I mean, for a lot of people, it could be catastrophic, where basically it's almost like losing everything. But guess what? I had in going through the transformation that I'm going through, and the life change that I've been experiencing. What I've done is I kind of hardened myself, making myself comfortable with the reality of possibly burning some bridges. Now, I'm not burning the bridges. I didn't bring the matches or the gasoline, but these bridges may be burned. And I can't help that, because at the end of the day, I only own my actions. I don't own your reaction to my actions. And you who are watching or listening to this, you don't own the reactions to your actions. You can only do what you do. So this is what I would say to kind of tie this all up, tie it all together, is be the best you can be. Be the best friend, the best husband, the best wife, the best father, the best mother, the best son, the best daughter, the best friend, the best colleague. Be the best that you can be. Wherever you can, go over and above what the expected minimum is. And then once you've done that, do it not expecting that you're going to get some accolade from it. Do it because this is the goodness that's inside you. A lot of times when we're dealing with other people and you're doing it because you're expecting some reward, or you're expecting something in return for it. Basically, what you're doing is you're doing a goodness that's not really a goodness. It's really a transaction, and you don't want to be. Let me say this: there are cases for transactional relationships, but if you want to avoid, or as much as possible, being the villain in the lives of others, remove yourself from the transactional space and move into the and I hate to sometimes I hate using this word, but the altruistic space, and watch what happens. Watch what happens. So again, you're going to in the game of life, in the play of life, in your story, you may be the hero. You may be the one that brings it all together. But in the lives of others, you are going to be the hero sometimes, and you're going to be the villain in others. And you have to go through life understanding that as a possibility, understanding that construct as a possibility, because if you don't, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment. You're going to experience a lot of heartbreak, because you're going to go into situations where you think, "Hey, I've done everything right, but here I am. I'm being the villain." Shit happens, guys, and you just have to emotionally prepare yourself for that. And that's what I did. And what it did. Let me say this: it doesn't eliminate the hurt, but it helps to mitigate it. And again, where the things that you can't eliminate, it's helpful to have tools at your disposal to mitigate them. And that's what I have for you today. I hope that this is something that you find useful. Listen, we all want to be the hero. We all want to be the one that helps to drive things home, and to be the hero, to be the victor in things. But we're not. You're just not. And you have to prepare yourself for those times when you're not. So in the meantime, please make sure that on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, that you check out Phreology Friday with myself and Aaron Tomlinson. We have a great time. Also, be sure to check out some of the other shows that we're connected to with Tommy and Matt with the Humanity and Jimmy Ligon with Unreligious. Make sure that you're checking out these shows because these are people that share perspectives that you may or may not have heard, or if you heard them, you haven't heard them quite the way that these guys articulate them. And we're bringing more shows on as time goes on, and we'll keep you posted on that. But in the meantime, may you be happy, may you be well, and may you be filled with peace. Love you.